After a 5-year hiatus, the World Surf League Championship Tour makes its return to the Island of the Gods for the Corona Bali Protected. The excitement level has surpassed all expectation from the WSL Elite in a roller coaster start to the 2018 season. Skilled rookies have capitalized. Veterans have faltered or bid farewell. And would-be contenders have claimed titles and worn yellow. 6-time world champion Stephanie Gilmore dons the Jeep Leaders jersey after 2 wins in the last 3 events.
Stephanie Gilmore in attack mode.
Where others might crack under pressure, Gilmore thrives with a smile. On the men's side, Julian Wilson sits atop the Jeep leaderboard, with the Oi Rio Pro champion Felipe Toledo close behind.
Driving through and he comes out after the spin.
Toledo took advantage of a supercharged crowd in Saquarema, nabbing the only perfect 10 of the event. The contest is anticipating a solid forecast, heralding a warm welcome back for the championship tour. The world's best surfers return to Keramas, one of the world's best waves, and it ranks among the most consistent high-performance playgrounds on the schedule. Any athlete can contend for a win here, but only the most well-rounded surfer will rise to the podium.
Salamat Datang, welcome to the Corona Bali Protected, presented by Hurley. Great to be back here at Keramas once again. Before we get the official call, let's have a look at the conditions. As you can see, a little bit of wind on the surface this morning, and that is good news for us as viewers, because Strider Wozalewski, things could get pretty weird out there today.
Did you just see that? That was absolutely crazy.
Gabriel Medina.
The Medina one, that was, great by Jesse Mendez. It's just absolutely beautiful with that light into that air wind and what they can actually get done out there above the lip. I'm wondering, what are we going to see on the face? High performance surfing. This is the kind of stuff that, well, this is what we came for. And what we just saw was what we really wanted to put up in the jersey. So hopefully we get to see the jerseys do that right now.
Great to have your company once again. Ronnie Blakey with Strider Wozalewski will be taking you through the first couple of heats of the day, and we did see Federico Moraes there on screen with the jersey on, so that kind of tells us what's about to go down. He's surfing against Ian Gavea in what should be a pretty interesting heat. We have seen some of the goofy footers kind of struggle in those barreling conditions, but I just think that Ian's got the kind of weapons on the backhand that could work in his favour with this onshore breeze.
I feel like we're going to see a rodeo out of him. He loves it. He goes up into it. He's very technical. He was doing things in Kaish in a qualifying series event that really blew my mind. And watching him kind of march through in sloppy conditions, which kind of lends me to think he's going to do the same thing here, on the backhand. It's going to be really fun to watch.
So feeling like we're going to get heats underway. Let's get the official word, though. We'll check in with Kaipo. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ron. And for that official word, we'll go to our commissioner, Kieran Perot.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we are actually on right now. We're going to start at 8 o'clock, and we're going to finish men's round 2, 6 heats left. Women's round 1's on standby after that. We've seen the morning kind of, come alive a little bit more in the last hour. It's great to see that tide push filling things in. The wind's still onshore, but some really high performance surfing going down. So we're on, starting shortly.
Your opinion of the wind and the performance surfing coming right now, because we know the guys are capable of some incredible stuff out there.
Yeah, totally. And we knew coming to Keramas we were probably going to have to deal with some, light onshore winds. Today's a lot lighter than we saw that wind blowing yesterday. It is expected to increase in strength later today, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. If it ruins conditions, then we'll go back off and we'll come back and make the most of every day.
Thanks for your time. Game on, guys.
Cheers, Kipes. Bring it on. Looking forward to this first heat, because yesterday Strider, we did see in that second round some upset results. We had pumping conditions and a couple of guys just really never found their rhythm. A big name who fell out of the mix, Kolohe Andino, Wade Carmichael, who just finaled in Brazil, also bundled out of the contest. Things are going to get interesting on the Jeep leaderboard as we get set for this first heat of the day. It is heat 7 of round 2. Federico Moraes up against Ian Gouveia. Your thoughts on this exchange? Who's going to hold the edge and who do you see making it through to round 3?
I feel like it's going to be Ian. And I kind of sense that just because of what I've seen him do in these kind of conditions. You know, that said, we're in a heat calculation, and solid surfing usually gets it done, and that's what you know you're going to get out of Federico Moraes. I think we're going to see him, you know, go to the lip line, some down carves, throw some spray, just play some water, and if he gets a couple of scores on the board, we'll see fins fly out of Federico Moraes. But I think right away we're going to see vertical lip climbs and airs out of Ian Gouveia. So that's going to be exciting, and that's going to separate the two surfers. If Gouveia can actually execute and have the make ratio, he's going to push through.
Well, these guys are in a similar position in that they're both here only for one contest in Bali. Both of them got knocked out in the second round over at Margaret River, so they won't get that opportunity at Uluwatu, which makes this heat so important for both these competitors. Federico Moraes currently sitting in 15th position, the 26-year-old surfing in his second year on the championship tour, desperate for a big result. He's got the same results from those first 3 events as what he had this time last year. So one quarterfinal, a 13th and a 25th. When you look at Ian Gouveia's results, however, he did much better in the opening stages of the 2017 season. He was the worst performer through the Australian leg, didn't get past that second round. So this is a big one for him. He did have a 9th in Brazil, but this is certainly a crucial heat. He wants to start climbing that ladder.
It is crucial, and it drives competitors to do things that I feel like, you know, in a flow of a heat, kind of hinder the athletes and their performances. This is where, for me, a coin toss should come in. These guys are sitting so far up the reef, they're almost at that back channel. They're way out of position right now, and it's because of where their headset is and what they want to do in this heat, and they want priority. But if you look at the pulled back screen right there, they're way off to the right. They're almost in the riptide zone where it comes out through that little channel in front of the restaurant. The peak is 150 yards away from them. And you know, this is the kind of stuff that, you know, kind of gets me going. I mean, I just want to see surfing, you know?
It is frustrating when you see those rideable waves, and more often than not, when surfers really do hustle each other out of position like that, and you do see some waves on the inside. I mean, that was a reasonable wave that just rolled through there.
Well, there's 2 before that we saw come through that were down off the side. They were really great waves, and they were both looked over. You saw them looking over that way because they were perfect waves reeling off, and they're realizing, oh, what are we doing over here? You know, and they're going to hustle, and now they're going to get back into position.
Well, now we'll see the order of priority change their position in the lineup, but as you pointed out, Strider, 2 deep on that occasion. Ian Gouveia, just a 1 float. He'll move down the line, and really the advantage goes to Federico. Even though he didn't ride the first wave of the heat, he's now got that priority. He'll move right into position and try and capitalise.
You'll see him move down the reef and find himself on a great position there. The positioning today is going to be interesting as you see this one.
Here we go, the surfer representing Portugal up on his first wave, gets that first turn wrong, and instantly that advantage of holding that position, that priority from the outset goes to Ian Gouveia. So no big numbers dropped in the opening exchange. It's going to be a throwaway score for Federico, and it's going to be the same deal for Ian Gouveia here.
You know, it's really easy to sit back and armchair critic, you know, the situation and the heat, right?
Oh, we're masters of it.
This is our job, right? This is what we do as analysts, and sitting back here watching this heat already unfold, you know, to me, you put yourself out of position. You've got yourself kind of flustered. Your first waves are both subpar because of it. And, you know, to me, you got to really go out there and the wave choice, okay? There's a little ruffle on it, right? You got that little bit of wind. The second wave of the set is going to clean that up. You know, and here we are seeing both the athletes trying to find something and really not really getting what is out there, because out there is the wave. We've seen them all morning long. Second wave of the set with a little bit of smoother face and big sections being offered up down the line.
Well, the good news for both competitors is there is still plenty of time on the clock. 25 minutes remaining as Federico Moraes swings a little further down the line this time. It allows him to find a nice little pocket. This wave's starting to just taper off, but he will stick with it, hoping for more down the line, starting to load up some more speed. Wants to get to this end section, belts it before kicking out there. So that'll be the best ride of this heat so far. A 30-minute exchange. And each surfer looking for 2 decent scoring rides. And obviously the surfer with the healthiest heat score total at the end is on their way to round 3. Ingabay left out the back at the moment. He's got priority. Waiting on numbers to come through for this ride.
Nice smooth entry in, comes around and finds that lip line. See that little corner, little chip coming at him from that wind that's blowing over the back. So he did well to meet that and timed it. And then this inside, he kind of chased it. So he never really found this section. You know, he was chasing around it instead of going up in it. It's going to come in, you know, really as a, you know, average low score. So it's nothing. But maybe he's feeling more comfortable. As you saw him on that first wave, he looked a little off tempo and fell off the rail. So maybe he's going to make him settle in a bit, get excited.
Not much to get the heart rate jumping on that second ride for Federico Moraes. We expected a low score, a 3.33. But it is still the single highest score. As we take a look at the judging criteria, straight from the rule book, Strider, and as you can see, you know, that commitment and degree of difficulty just wasn't really on show on that ride for Fred. It looked like he just really wanted to get to the end of that wave. And that risk element of the criteria, that's what's going to fetch you the big numbers today, because I don't think we're going to see too many of those big barrels on offer.
No, and you know what's interesting about the criteria there is that down at the bottom of the criteria, you got to see the flow part of it. And that is something that I feel like plays into the mindset of these guys almost more than anything, is that flow. If you're coming in and out of maneuvers seamlessly, you know, as that wave came through for Federico, he did that turn. Then he came down through the inside, and instead of being able to lip line and float, he had to like kind of go around it. So he kind of hindered the flow, which hinders the score.
Well, let's see what Ian can throw at us. He's going to throw a little bit more risk at it. First turn, reasonable. Bit of foam on the face to deal with here. Kind of difficult to let go of any major turns through that flatter water, but he makes up for it on the inside. Nice belt under the lip. And right behind him is Federico once again. Just a clean hit on the end section there. Obviously, the surfers in the earlier stages, they want to kind of settle into that rhythm, but you also don't want to be too safe, do you, Strider? You want to make the most of those opportunities that stand up in front of you on these onshore days.
Take note, though, second wave, way smoother, got a beautiful face on it. This wave didn't have the wall that he probably was looking for, but then he got that inside section, which presented itself, but didn't go into it with the speed I think he wanted to. And this is what we like to see a little bit more of, just getting that tail around, really kind of pushing and progressing. And that's the kind of surfing that's going to kind of elevate the scores. But unfortunately for, you know, Gouveia, this wave didn't offer up that first section the way he wanted it. You know, he'd really like to really attack it, and he kind of had to look for it out up there on the corner. The way the swell direction's coming down the reef, it's kind of pushing away. So you kind of want those waves that have that end section that is just turning on it just enough for you to be able to get up and put it up into that bowl section upside down or in the lip. But I'll comment on what you just said, the safety part of it. Just that part of it, I'm not going to say it's going to take away from your score, but the judges are going to take note in the commitment and degree of difficulty. And if you're having a safe approach, then, well,
something they've been pretty cruel on throughout those first few events of the season, really holding back on the scale until they see that you know, excitement factor really, I think, pushed the risk involved is what's going to fetch you the big scores. So a couple of average numbers dropping through for the competitors at the moment. Federico Moraes drops a 4.67. Ian Gouveia just a 2.73 for those two turns. I think maybe the first turn maybe looked a little flat to them.
Yeah, well, he was searching for something, right? And when you're looking for it and it's not just happening, then you can see it. And that's something that, you know, plays into it. And he found a lip line, but it was just a little bit off the top. He was a little late to the party, so You know, he's got to execute with better timing, and then you'll see his score go up. But I like the push. I like the progression. Now, he got the tail out a little bit. He pushed the fins out, and that's something that he's going to look to do probably throughout this heat.
So Ian Gouveia is going to try and chase down this lead now. He needs a 5.27 to get out in front. Not much happening on that first section once again, so again, he'll be looking for those steeper walls on that backhand, won't he?
Well, wave selection, you know, you look at that wave, it didn't look like it had anything in it to me. It's a lot of chatter on the face, and it's the first wave of the set. Unless that thing's got a huge ramp coming at you down the line, you know, I'm not too sure why you would take off on it. But then again, I'm armchair critic here sitting on the beach, and he's out in the water. So it's really, you know, an interesting thing. He's looking directly into the sun. Can he see that section coming? Does it look like there was more to that wave? That's to be seen from the water, from the athlete's eye.
Let's get the perspective from the water right now. We'll check in with Rosie Hodge. Rosie, another beautiful morning here in Bali, but the conditions very different to what we've had each morning at competition so far.
That's so right, and Strider touched on it, just that sun, and also the fact that it's kind of sweeping a little bit out to sea, a bit more west than that swell. So you mentioned that end section and finding that banger on the end, but also that first section is so critical. If you can do something risky on that first little cup, that's where all the points are going to be today, I think. And then also just to note, there is that bit of chatter through the face, but when it pulls off this reef, it is pretty smooth and pretty critical in Bali out here.
Well, good to know. And, you know, I think another point that we should bring up is yesterday afternoon when that onshore picked up, conditions, you know, were pretty average for those last couple of heats of the day yesterday, Strider. But the free surfing session, some of the world's best got out there. They were throwing everything at the first section, and I think, you know, why it's sort of one of those situations where the commissioner's got that tough call in the heats that are unfolding, whether to keep running. It's up to the surfers to show that they can do excellent surfing in those kind of conditions too. And it just felt like everyone was kind of holding back on that first section, I think, for fear of blowing the entire ride. But really want to see guys start to take to the air on these first opportunities as Frederico lays into a nice carve there, making the most of that cleaner face. So again, taking one of the first waves of the set, but this one pans out pretty nicely for him. Gets a nice end section hit. His last wave of 4.67. This one could be pretty similar, if not better.
Yeah, I think it's going to go a little bit better. That first turn had some power in it. The technique and the torque down into the bowl, which I really like to see, is when, you know, they turn their shoulders, and you'll see it when he comes off the bottom. And he's looking right at it right here, and he comes up and he turns everything down into the bowl right there. So he kind of turned almost back into the face of the wave with his shoulders, and that's something that the form was there all the way through. So strong surfing again, you know, and this is where we're going to watch it. Watch the front hand will turn all the way back around towards that bowl section, and you see him catching the wall there. See his shoulders almost rotate around his hips. And that's going to continue the board movement back towards that white water. That's what you want. You want that torque to happen. It's almost like a golf stroke where you pull back and you actually come through, and it just really gives the flow and the momentum and the speed.
Ian Gouveia up now. Winds through a nice backhand carve there. Keeping it under the lip. And on the hunt now for points on the inside. Just clicks off the top of the wave a couple of times there. So Ian just trying to throw something big on that outside section. Did he get it right that time?
I liked it. It was a bit sticky off the end of it, but a lot of speed going into it, a lot of momentum, and you'll see him come off the bottom and really attack it compressed. Watch, right there, but see that front foot kind of stuck in a little bit off the end of it? That might hinder the score a bit, but I do like the degree of commitment in that wave. Going vertical, that inside section was really nice. Here we get a good look at it right here. Look at the board placement. Probably could have went a little more vertical, but the rail kind of dug in, the nose almost a little. I do love the fact that he was just putting it on the line, though. He wants it. You can tell the moment you were talking about earlier is playing into this heat where both of these guys don't get a second chance here in Indo as far as the Margaret River Pro goes, picking it up. So interesting to note that you just pointed out that these guys really need to progress through this heat.
A lot of desperation out there at the moment. Just under 15.5 minutes to go. Score came through for Frederico Moraes, a 6.17. Ian Gouveia just dropped his best ride, but he's still in second place here in the first heat of the day. Welcome back to the show. Ronnie Blakey with Strada Wozalewski to call these first couple of heats of the morning for you. We're into the second round, and this is heat 7 at the moment. We're having a look at the surfline forecast. A lot of activity in oceans all around the world, it seems, at the moment, Strada, but particularly here in Indonesia, we're seeing a lot of swell activity. It's been great.
We are, and you can see all the activity down along the bottom there, which is going to push all the swell up towards us. It does fade off a bit as the week goes on, but we have a lot of surf. So, you know, the swell window here is wide open. There's a lot of action. The thing that kind of is interesting is that you see that there's, you know, 4 to 6, 4 to 7. You've got a good period there, 15, 14 seconds. So we've got some solid, substantial swell. The tides are really playing a big part in the swell.
Well, this destination in particular is very tide sensitive, as we've seen from the first couple of days of competition. Frederico Moraes up at the moment, trying to get rid of a 4.67. Just a typically solid heat so far for the surfer representing Portugal. And Gouveia, on the other hand, is struggling to really connect with a quality wave at this point in time. Has to sharpen up his wave selection. He'll get that opportunity, assuming priority out the back. But Frederico Moraes just looking comfortable, hasn't done anything too mind-blowing just yet, but at this point in time, he is hanging on to the lead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you watch him here, a little choppy on the first click, a little stiff, and then, kind of tries to clean it up through the inside here. I don't think he's going to better his 4.67 by much. Possibly maybe a quarter or half point, but this wave right here was behind his, and Gouveia had a moment there where he was just off and he went out of the back. So he pushed pretty hard and unfortunately missed timing that and the wave going by him. You know what we're going to see, like we talked about before this heat got started, is the fireworks right out of Ian Gouveia. He wants it, and we know he's got the firepower. It's whether or not he can execute, which we talked about earlier. And so far, he has not been able to execute. He's got to come through with these maneuvers. Those vertical slams are insane looking. But if he comes out of those with speed, he's going to get big numbers. So maybe he's got time left. It'll click in this heat, and that's what he's hoping for.
Yeah, I think he maybe just blew the best opportunity to bank the best number of the heat. That was the best looking wave that we've seen. That nice steep section, he finally found it. But as you mentioned, got a little hung up in the lip. And Gouveia in second spot at the moment, looking for a 6.84. Big heat for this man, Matt Wilkinson. Such amazing starts to the last couple of seasons, but this year's been very different. A real challenge for him in this second round too, coming up against Joandaru, who's really been doing some great surfing.
Yeah, that's going to be the battle of the backhand. One was going to have lip line progression in it with a little fin out. The other one's going to have power to progression with a lot of, he's just so based out. Joandaru has got so much strength when he comes up into the lip line, and he's got that speed, those boards he's riding. There's something going on there. I don't know if Matt Biolis Mayhem, his shaper, has flattened out the tail rocker a bit or something, but you can see him driving through turns just incredibly well. Looking forward to diving into that matchup in a little over 11 minutes time, but right now we do have Ian Gouveia up. 10 minutes, 40 seconds on the clock, using priority on this ride. Chasing a 6.84 to get himself into the lead. Working this one over. You can see the desperation and the hunger on show. And he is just working as hard as he can to get to this end section. Decent combination of maneuvers. Was that the wave to turn the heat, or is he even going to narrow the requirement? I think it'll be hard-pressed to narrow the requirement. I mean, again, it's not the Gouveia we've come to love, or I've come to love. Watching him surf, he does identify a nice, smooth wave, but you can see him looking for a section sooner than he kind of would have needed to, I think. I mean, he throws in a bunch of average snaps in here where he just needs to do maybe one big one out the back, wind up and do a big air right there, like that would have been what the judges would have turned their head. He would have gotten closer to the score that he's looking for, definitely narrowing the requirement.
We are waiting on those numbers to come through as we throw our attention back to the takeoff zone. Frederico Moraes starting to find his place. Laid down a few of those calves. That might have been the most committed to kick this ride off, but this wave is tapering off pretty badly. It might run off again. He's going to get one more section out of it up there on the inside.
That turn out the back was right on the button. There's a place where you can put your board in the lip as those little wind chops are coming at you, where it's almost like you could just kind of dead stop into it. You can really push as hard as you possibly want, and watch him do it right here. Bang! I mean, absolutely displacing all the water, turn the shoulders off the top. Technique and form was there. Not a whole lot of like craziness as far as on the technical progression side of things, but the first turn, there was some meat in this thing. You know, he had speed, and he put the board right in the perfect place and arced the rail into the curve of the wave really well.
Just got on such a magic roll last year and was right there in that rookie race, right up into that final event. Those frontside carbs, he was so reliable with that turn. And it's just felt like as his confidence has sort of dipped through these first few events of the season, that turn hasn't really been there at Bells Beach. I think we saw glimpses of it, but it just hasn't been as consistently scoring for him as it did last year. But I think he's getting his confidence back. You know, just getting himself into the lead in this heat has allowed him to really start to lay into those turns, drive through those bumps. And we're waiting on the nubs to come through for that last ride. Ian Gouveia did chip away at the requirement somewhat. He banked a 4.43, looking for a 6.41 now. But it just feels like Fred might move further ahead with that last ride.
I think he might, and it's an interesting look at that wave, though, because really the meat of that score came from that one turn. There wasn't really anything in that wave otherwise, right? I mean, there was a couple cleanup, you know, maneuvers on the inside, but nothing that, it was just a couple of taps. So this turn, you know, warranting and bettering his position in the heat. And rightfully so. Best turn of the heat so far by, you know, a mile. I mean, you can see all the water flying. You can see his form, and the size of the wave was there. He's a big fella. He's not, I mean, this guy's 6'1", and he's doing turns like that, you know, I like it.
Solid stuff. Does feel like, though, that just sort of restraint on the scale could work in Ian Gouveia's favour. He hasn't really put it together with those kind of more traditional turns, but if you can find a big section, throw one of those big air reverses, which he's very capable of doing with the jersey on, he could turn this one. He only needs a 6.57 at this stage. Feels like that score is out there and more. So we'll see what unfolds here in the final stages.
Yeah, he cannot safety through this heat right now. He's going to have to attack, which he's been doing, and it's gonna, you know, if he can pull it off, it'll pay off. It's just a matter of executing those above the lip and in the lip technical maneuvers that, you know, if the section arrives, he's gonna let it have it. I mean, I love watching this guy serve.
Maybe some of his edge taken away, Strider, with the changing conditions. You think about Ian Gouveia surfing against Frederico Moraes in solid waves out here yesterday. He's proven to us at different locations that he's such a great barrel rider, backhand or forehand. And I think he maybe would have been the favourite in those bigger barreling conditions for this heat.
Yeah, you could argue that. I think you could argue that both ways, though. I mean, Fred's no slouch when it comes right down to it. He's got all that time over there in Portugal where you've got those heavy slabs. You've got, you know, all those waves with slabbing over those reefs, and he's a great barrel rider. He's got super tubos and Peniche where they have a World Tour event. So
when it comes to results, though, I think Ian's proven that he can get it done in the barreling waves.
Yeah.
And Fred has yet to show us what he can do when it's really tubing like that. So it is a really interesting heat. My thought is that even though Ian Gouveia's got the airs, he hasn't really found those sections out here at the moment, and as a result, Fred's brand of surfing has got him out in front. He's up once again, medium-sized wave, but it's got a nice smooth face on it. Gets his flow, combos up a couple of big turns on the outside, looking confident on this one as he kicks that tail on the final section, trying to get rid of a 4.83.
I think he did it. I think he was surfing fast, clean, found himself that nice smooth face, which is so important right now for performance, because you can actually push a lot harder, and you have that kind of reassurance of what the board's going to do. You know, this setup snap right here was even fun to watch, because you could see him just looking down the line and bang, straight up into the lip, throws the tail out a little bit, throws the tail off the end there. But there is a bit of restraint in the surfing still, even on that wave, and it's interesting to watch, because I've seen him surf so much, I guess, with more freedom. and he's definitely got that little bit of, he's just holding back just that little hair, you know. But hey, definitely commanding the lead in this heat at the moment.
Well, 4 minutes to go. Matt Wilkinson on screen, gearing up for the next heat, taking on Juwandaroo. But right now, Federico Moraes starting to build in confidence, looking a little faster on that last ride, a little freer when he got to that end section. Set the fins free. Even though it was a smaller wave, he's a chance at extending his lead, increasing that heat score total, and just making life a bit more difficult for the Brazilian Ian Gouveia here at the moment. Numbers dropping in now. It's a 5.9. So he does advance. Ian Gouveia now looking for a 7.64. So times are getting tough for the goofy footer. There's Federico's position at this stage of the game, sitting in 15th position. And as I mentioned earlier, has had the exact same results so far this year as he had last year. So I guess that would give him a little bit of confidence. I'm sure he saw himself doing better in the first couple of events, Strider, but at least he knows in his mind that he can make up those big results through the middle of the season and get himself into a great position to requalify. Maybe even stake a claim for a top 10 finish.
Yeah, the level of surfing and that all of these athletes hold, it puts them in an interesting position to where these guys can all win at any time. I mean, when we watched Keanu Singh win in France, and I really just made you realize that these guys all have the talent. It's just a matter if they're on their game and that headspace on that day. And every one of these guys has put in countless hours and time spent and energy towards getting to this point. You know, these guys are all masters of the sport at this point. And it's fun to really kind of put that into perspective that all these guys have a chance.
Definitely, yeah. And these guys hang pretty thick too. I mean, Fred, representing Portugal, the lone surfer from Portugal on the championship tour, doing such a great job. Such a huge star back home. But speaking Portuguese, you know, he falls in with the Brazilian crowd. He gets cheered on by those guys. So he is, even though he is solo, he's somewhat part of their crew and gets a lot of support from them as well, which is, I think, pretty important, just feeling at home when you're traveling the world.
Yeah, and well, not to mention the gene pool is strong. You see his dad down there in the competitors area. He's a stud. He's down there hanging out. So he's got his dad here with him, which is pretty awesome, bringing dad to Bali.
So just keep him busy on the inside without that priority. He's done a good job of building his scores throughout this heat. And Federico surfing with a bit more speed. And you can see the confidence gaining even throughout this 30-minute exchange. This one might not go into his top two. Didn't have that nice sequence of major turns on the outside, but not giving up on it, just chipping away. Looking to improve on a 5.9. We're just on a minute to go. So really, it's all eyes on Ian Gouveia now. He's out the back, holding priority. Got to be feeling the pressure somewhat because he needs to do something pretty exceptional.
I think the opportunity was missed under priority where Federico caught that wave that he bettered on. I think it's a 5.9. And, you know, this wave is just for him to keep reps. You know, he's just staying busy and there's nothing crazy on this wave. But you can see how much better he's surfing with confidence, and from the beginning in his first wave of the heat to now, it's
looks like a different guy.
Yeah, a completely different person. So you can see that confidence built and that freedom and that fun he's having, and he's got that pressure just flowing off of his shoulders. And that wave before that he got was a wave that Ian Gouveia could have had and put himself in a position to get the score because it had a nice smooth face. And unfortunately, Gouveia is going to bow out of this event without having an opportunity on an open face that he let go by.
Ian Gouveia, you could see the body language there. Extreme disappointment. Taking a 25th from the Corona Bali protected contest. Federico Moraes built some confidence there, and he'll be hard to beat as he moves into the third round. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Matt Wilkinson will take on Juwandaroo. Welcome back to the show. This is the Corona Bali Protected with Matt Wilkinson taking on Juwandaroo now, and Wilco looking to get the quick start. Drives up into the lip, super explosive on that first turn. Just gliding around the cup of that wave and driving back up into the pocket once again. Wilco trying to finish this one off. He does nicely. Once that rhythm is found for Matt Wilkinson on the back end, he can really let go of a number of devastating turns. But watch out for this guy too. So powerful on the back end, Juwandaroo, but this wave, he doesn't see anything he wants to attack on that first section, so he gets out there the back and wants that priority.
Exactly what we talked about in the last heat. But what was going to happen in this heat is happening from Matt Wilkinson. Blowing the tail out the back, technical surfing in the lip. Not crazy powerful, but doing the execution on point. I mean, literally riding up, ditching the fins out the back, and riding the lip line with the bottom of the board. So exactly what we talked about. Watch this, off the bottom, fins out the back, right? Slips it out, comes back down, does it again, throws the tail out, pushes the board across the lip. That's his go-to, and we've seen it time and time again. Only thing about this wave, maybe the repetitive motion, but I love the fact that he came out of the gates and belted the lip like that and threw those fins out, and that's something that, you know, will be rewarded.
Repetition, though, seems to... We'll come back to that point as we see Juwandaroo on the outside. Drives up into the first section. A little under the lip there. I was just wanting to say, though, that repetition, it's something you get penalised for if you're not doing super explosive turns. So if you're doing repetitions of kind of safe turns, then you seem to get penalised. If you are blowing the tail out repeatedly, generally you score pretty well.
You're going to keep repeatedly getting points.
And there is the number for Matt Wilkinson. That first ride came through at a 7.17. So a very positive start for a man who these past couple of seasons has either been in the yellow jersey at this point or somewhere in the top 5. So Matt Wilkinson way down the back end of on the Jeep leaderboard in 28th position. He has a lot of work to do. Looking free in the lip. I like it. And that's something that, you know, it's like what we like to see. Obviously, over there at the Founders Cup, we got the opportunity to see Matt Wilkinson surfing, and it's a difficult wave to surf and to square up on for someone like Wilco, who likes to draw up and get really vertical in the lip. But it just felt like, just watching him surf there, he was cutting a lot of his turns short, and I just think there was a lack of confidence in his surfing. But he started this heat off with a bang. It looks like he's working hard in his mind to really turn that approach around. Certainly a positive start.
Definitely. I think maybe the confidence is settled in. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He's just in a great place here. He's got a beautiful zone. Everybody's really comfortable. I know his girlfriend's here with him. I think Prosser's looking after her foot. I think she had a trip and fall, maybe hurt the ankle, so that's an unfortunate one. But Mr. Wilkinson, let me tell you,
no better place to put your feet up than here in Bali. But these guys are both really intent on a big finish in this contest. You know, it was really interesting onshore conditions straight over that first heat. We didn't see anyone take to the air. What can we expect in this exchange? Do you think we'll see a big air laid down?
Yeah, it could be possible. I'm not like leaning towards yes, because both of these surfers are rail and lip line surfers. That, you know, you're going to see more of that than you would above the lip. Matt Wilkinson gets himself another 7, though. We might start to, you know, change that conversation around a bit. And that's why, honestly, in that last heat, Ian Gouveia lost, to me. You know, it was just one of those things where he's known for doing a type of surfing that is so incredible above the lip that if he would have gotten to the point where he was, maybe it was a confidence thing where he could have freed himself up and done that surfing, we would have seen some magic out of him.
Here goes Matt Wilkinson once again, and he's going to throw everything at that first section. Maybe looking down the line and seeing there was only really that one big pocket to play with, but he almost brought that around.
Yeah, it was a lot of speed going into that. The intent was there, and that's what you were talking about earlier, Ronnie, is that first section and the meat of the wave. There's definitely, you know, two parts of this wave, the outside and the inside. And in between, you don't really get that much out of it, it seems like. And that outside section, really attacking it is something that you're going to show a lot of commitment, because if you're actually committing to doing your biggest turn right off the bat, it's, you know, you can either make it or break it at that point. And if you make it, you're going to be rewarded. And that's what we saw with Federico Moraes. His outside turns were really solid in the bowl, and you know, got all of his points out the back. Nothing on the inside, really.
Joan Daru now looking for his opportunity to bank a big number. He's got that priority out the back. And looking at Joan's position on the ratings, no, not too dissimilar to Matt Wilkinson. Has really struggled this year to get himself out of this second round. He's going to get 2 shots at it here in Bali to get himself deeper into a CT event. He did make that 3rd round over in Margaret River, but other than that, 3 25ths from those first 3 completed CT events.
That hurts.
So Wilco staying busy without priority now. Nice hook off the top, draws off the bottom. Great in transition out of that bottom turn into those big hooks. This wave just didn't really stand up like that first one, but a couple of little spins on the inside there.
Yeah, he's feeling it. You can see it. I like it. You know, it's fun to watch surfers and look at their mindset and look at what he's done. He's come inside under priority, found himself a little clean face, and you know, come into the corner a little off timing. The tempo wasn't exactly what he wanted, but he is feeling it. You can see him really having a go at this wave, and just kicking off the end section right there, just feeling kind of like he's got that bit of freedom. I like, and you can see it in a surfer when they finish waves. Okay, when you kick out of a wave, you'll see where a surfer's language and mental state is by the body language and the way that they kick out of a wave. And you know, call me crazy, but you watch these guys kick out, and you can see where they're at in their stature.
Totally agree with you. Matt Wilkinson waiting on that last number to come through. It's going to put him further ahead here. 20.5 minutes to go. Let's check in with the first heat winner this morning, Federico Moraes with Kaipo.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Federico, you saw at the beginning of the heat, yourself and Ian paddling way up the reef. Why is that first wave so important?
Just to try to get the rhythm and try to get that first priority so you can choose the wave you want. And usually most of the hits you'll see everyone a bit deeper than you want to sit actually on the point. So I guess it's normal, and you see it a lot, and that's kind of my strategy. So, and it kind of worked, I think. So yeah, stoked I made it through.
Stoked you made it through. You've already had a 25th this year, which is a throwaway. So how important is it to make it through this round number 2?
I know 25ths are deadly, and of course you don't want to have a bunch of them. So yeah, making it into round 3 and give yourself a chance to move forward, it's a lot important.
Well, congratulations, Kikas. We'll see you in round 3.
Thank you, guys. See you later.
Thank you, Kipes. Well, Federico Moraes actually rocks the number 25 on his jersey. So, you know, it's not the result that you want to get, but he rocks that number. It's his dad's birthday. He was 25 when he qualified for the championship tour. So that was the reason that he chose it. But he is safely into the 3rd round now. An important heat win over Ian Gouveia in the first heat of the day. If you've just joined us, Ronnie with Strider, taking you through these first couple of heats. Out there at the moment, Matt Wilkinson starting to warm up. A 4.3 on an inside wave without priority. That's going to feel good. So the requirement's been pushed up into that combination now for Joan Daru. It's not a big one. He's chasing a 2-wave total of 12 at the moment.
No, he's still in the heat. There's plenty of time. Although I do not like the way he started out this heat. First wave, dropped in, kicked out. Second wave, dropped in, was late to the party and pearled. You know, where does that put you in your mindset and coming into this, you know, to flow of a heat? You do have a lot of time left. You can reset. Your opponent's already putting up numbers, though. And you're kind of he's on the back foot as far as the position of the heat. He's going to have to battle back, but he is a fighter. Let's put it out there.
That pressure just compounds when you're falling and your rival's doing turns like this, whipping that board vertically. Matt Wilkinson on the first turn, mixing it up with the backhand carve. Can he put a finish on this ride? He does get ultra aggressive on the closing turn. So the 4.83 What do you reckon, Strider? That's gone, isn't it?
I reckon that was his best wave of the heat, the way he surfed the wave, his speed, the power, everything he did into that. I don't know if his score will reflect that, but the way that he rode this wave, look at this bottom turn. He cracked that thing vertical 12 o'clock. Then did a nice corner turn right there, and then this inside one reaches the fins a little out the back. Maybe I got a little excited there, but I love the way he starts this wave, and that's why I got excited. Off the bottom, no look, bang, right up into it. I mean, that board was right at 12, and that's the kind of surfing your opponent's looking back over your shoulder going, oh, sorry, and then more buckets out the back. Solid surfing right there out of Matt Wilkinson, and this is the type of surfing that got him to a place in previous years where he was, you know, in the talk for a world title.
Amazing. And the best ride, as you suggested, Strider, of the heat so far, a 7.77 for Matt Wilkinson. Rosie Hodge, he looks like he's pretty jacked up on the local coffee out there at the moment. He's looking at everything. He's surfing so well. What are your thoughts?
Oh, he's been sipping a large cup. This morning his head is on a swivel. As he's paddling out, he's just looking at every wave, every opportunity, just eyeing out the lineup, and you can tell that he's just clicking into that form that we've seen from Matty Wilco of the last 2 years. You know, he's had a disappointing start this season, but now is the time for him to really capitalize and click back into that competitive mindset.
Sometimes, Rosie, in these second round heats for surfers that have been struggling to get out of these dreaded second rounds, you just see the nerves on show. I think we saw that in the first heat of the morning. Frederico getting some okay numbers, but Matt just seems to be surfing with a lot of speed at the moment. Are you picking up a different pace from what he's putting out there at the moment?
And that is exactly it, and he's just clicked into that confidence level. I think that you can't allow any mistakes, any errors at this level, and especially in the position that Matty's in on the... He's got to capitalize. Looks like Johan Daru is having a good go. Looking at this wave, is he going to use it? Oh, wow. He is just having a bit of a shocker right now. Not able to capitalize with priority. And the priority just switched, guys.
Wow, that is that's a shocking start to this heat. We're almost at the halfway mark, Strider. Just over 15.5 minutes to go. Johan Daru having a look at that wave, but not getting over the ledge there.
We kind of talked about it a minute ago, where you know, you start out with a no look, right? You take off, you kick out. The second wave you go for, you actually pearl, and then, you know, your opponent's stacking the best numbers of the heat under your priority, and then you miss one. I'm sorry, but this thing's in the fridge. It's over.
So Strider not feeling a comeback at this stage. A lot can happen in 15 minutes, but Johan Daru really needs to shift gears here. I think you're right. I think those mistakes have been compounded by the numbers that Matt Wilkinson's been able to drop. And I think we haven't seen a lot of that from Wilco this year, getting positive starts in his heats, something that he was doing so well last year. Most of the times he was going on to those victories, it wasn't really comeback results. It was sort of the momentum going his way in the early stages of these heats, his confidence building, and then him finishing off his opponents. There was that one final in Fiji against Conor O'Leary where he did fight hard to get that lead back. For the most part, though, when he gets that lead, he's getting good numbers. He's pretty reliable for going on to get the job done. Here goes Johan Daru. Can he switch things up here? So a couple of backhand belts there, gets a nice vertical turn done on that second move, but
okay,
you can read the body language. He wasn't happy with it, was he?
Well, what did we talk about when we went, or excuse me, that I made a statement earlier. You can tell where a surfer's at when he kicks out of a wave. I mean, you can see the frustration, and this entire wave, he's late to the party. He never found rhythm or flow into the bowl where he needed to be. He needed to be another 1.5 to 2 feet over to the corner, and he's really, I mean, watch, look at that right there. That shows everybody watching that he's out of this. And that's something that you really have to be aware of in a heat where, you know, the judges are watching, everybody's watching, and that to me is almost a white flag, and I don't like that. You know, I want to see him battling, and even though that wave wasn't that great, kicking out and grabbing the board and paddling back out the way he's paddling right now, that shows me intent. That shows me he still wants it, you know, but that demeanor off of the back of a wave will settle into people watching, and that even means the judges.
So Matt Wilkinson still has that head on a swivel, but you can see that he's not searching for just any opportunity to jack up his scoreline at the moment. Now he's really got his eyes on something that's definitely going to better that 7.17. He's in that position of control, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't even think he's going to look. I don't even think he's going to catch a wave unless he has to, unless Juwan makes him, because he's got such a great position now. He's just going to sit back, monitor his opponent. If the waves come and Juwan's going to be on a really good one to make that jump, then he'll take it.
Matt Wilkinson out in front. Juwan Daru chasing a 2-wave total of 14.94 here in Heat 8 of round 2, the Corona Bali protected. Welcome back to the show. Matt Wilkinson, back in 2015, had never had a championship tour win. Fast forward to this point in time, 2 victories in Australia, back-to-back Gold Coast and Bells Beach in 2016. Last year, though, I think he blew a lot of minds on the forehand, getting the job done at Cloudbreak in an epic final with Conor O'Leary.
Yeah, he definitely turned the corner on a note where I had really kind of put him not anywhere near winning this event, and he just shut me down, and I loved it. You know, I don't mind being wrong, and to see him go on to win, and to see you know, him take that next step into a realm was just, for me, it was I loved sitting back and saying, okay, yeah, I was wrong, and it was such a pleasure to watch him elevate to the point to where he was a champion at Fiji.
And the truth is, that's the reason the event had to go off the schedule for a year, because we partied so hard that we needed some recovery time. But we're here in Indonesia now, and that's completely fine with me. Matt Wilkinson doesn't mind it either. Posting a couple of solid 7-point rides already, and now just letting the fins free, swing into a reverse. A move that he'll regularly pull out of the bag. Doesn't finish this wave off, but you can see he's just having a bit of fun with that ride. He's looking freed up.
I feel like he thinks it's 2 nights ago at the party here on the commune deck, and he's on the dance floor. He's out there just whipping stuff around like no tomorrow. He's having a blast. Little lip slam there, and then this little turn just busts the fins out. You know, the maneuver itself a little flat, but the rotation was there, so he's not going to go crazy with a score, but the freedom he's feeling right now is really nice. And so this is a point in the heat where, you know, obviously his opponent needs a combination of scores. He's, you know, the wheels flew off right, you know, probably just before the midway of the heat for Juwan, you know, mentally. So he's feeling like he's got the freedom to go out there and have a lot of fun, but he does have to be careful with how far he goes with the freedom and really reel it back, and kind of, because he's still in the heat. He's really still got to, you know, enjoy and gauge how well he's going to do throughout the event, right? So you can't push and go too crazy. You want to kind of pull back and really feel where you're at.
I haven't seen the big air just yet this morning, but I've got a feeling in the next heat, I'm going to guarantee it. Kanoa Igarashi, Jesse Mendez hitting the lineup. I think we'll see someone take to the air. But I think we need to reflect on that last rider, Matt Wilkinson's 5.6. Didn't better his position. However, it was a smart move with priority, because Juwan Daru, if he got that same ride, he would have broken combination, had a chance going into the final stages here. So that's something that you want to do. You want to starve your opponent of those opportunities if you're holding that priority. You don't want them to break combination. You want to keep them there. And Matt will get on the salesman job out there at the takeoff zone now. Strider will put on a bad suit, slick his hair back, and try and sell an absolute piece of garbage to Joan Daru out on the takeoff.
Well, yeah, he's going to try and sell him something. I'm just playing the other side of the fence with you on this. To me, it was interesting to have priority to take a wave like that for Matt, because I feel like there's plenty of time left. And leaving Joan out in the back with time, it could be dangerous. I know mentally and physically in his demeanor, he looks like he's out of the game. But if he does turn it around, and he does catch a wave right now, say with 6 minutes left in the heat, he's going to have an opportunity to get another one. So the wave that Matt caught, to me, wasn't really going to get up into the 6-point range. To me, like, even if Joan kind of went mad on it and hit the lip line really well, I don't think it wasn't a very big wave, my point. So I don't know. We'll see if this plays out and how it plays out.
All right, well, let's dive into the recap now. Matt Wilkinson on fire on his very first ride, banking a 7.17.
Yeah, this throw and tail, I love it. Just getting freed up, buckets, fins, putting all the numbers up, pushing water around, and coming into it with an opener where the confidence and the speed was there from the get-go. And that's what's happened throughout this heat, and it's been fun to watch. This vertical lip line crackola right there. I mean, I love the speed and the power and everything he's got going in this heat. And it's interesting, where has this Matt Wilkinson been this year? We have not seen this out of him.
So true. Amazing what a run of poor results will do it to a competitive surfing, but certainly bringing some solid form to this round 2 heat against Joan Daru. It just hasn't looked in it. A couple of mistakes early on with wave selection, a couple of falls, also a priority blunder. Just really served this one up. But it is great to have your company once again for the Corona Bali Protected event here at Keramas, presented by Hurley. We'll also have their Hurley Surf Club happening once again, so getting a lot of the local surfers up and comers down here to Keramas, giving them a special experience, taking them away and actually coaching some of the kids, giving them the opportunity to revisit some footage and break down technique, and maybe spurring on a new generation here in Bali. And
even just getting a lesson in Zen. Rob Machado's down there telling you how to do it. I mean, this is like as cool of an opportunity as you could have if you are a grommet and you're from, the Keramas Surf Club, and you get to go hang out with these guys and get to sit there with Rob Machado, and he's like telling you how to break down, your flow on a wave. And then you got Michelle Perez coming in telling you how to just power through a section. And Rizal, the godfather down here, he's in there telling you how it is and where to go, when to go, and the conditions. I've been sending that guy messages left and right trying to figure out where to go.
Yeah, we're getting some good hot tips too.
Oh man, are you kidding me?
Enjoying your time over here. I love it. Just over 5 minutes remaining in this heat now. Matt Wilkinson has the lead, but Joan Daru has priority. And with that amount of time on the clock, he's still a chance, but he's going to have to make a move pretty soon, and he'll want to drop a reasonable number to leave himself chasing an attainable score in the dying stages here.
Yeah, the ocean's letting him down a bit, huh?
It is a fun switch up in the conditions that we've had though. Yesterday and the first day of the event window, a lot more size in the ocean, and throughout the mornings we had really clean conditions. Today the swell has dropped a little bit, but it's a bit more rippable with this wind. It just doesn't seem like it's causing as much chop on the face, and sort of excited to see the rest of the heats play out here in the second round.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Here we go, Matt Wilkinson having a look at one on the inside.
I was going to say, those past few days, you've got a lot of power in the ocean, a lot of movement, a lot of water moving. Now we've got less size, less power, where the surfer is actually taking it to the wave. And the previous days, the wave was taking it to the surfer.
So true, and that end section on those bigger days is really hard to manage, and we saw a lot of surfers kind of steering away from hitting the end section because it really does draw off the reef there on those bigger days. But today it looks a little bit more manageable. We mentioned Kanoa Igarashi and Jesse Mendez coming up in the next heat, but looking throughout the rest of this second round, amazing. Heat 10, Zeke Lau up against Pat Gadauskas. And the fun keeps going as we roll through this round.
Ooh, Emrod and Iago Dora, are you kidding me? That is going to be just fireworks because both of those guys are progressive surfers, and to see the action above the lip that we're going to see out of that heat. There was an Instagram clip that Matt Biolis Mayhem put up, and I'm sure, you know, Emrod put it up himself, but he is skyrocketing above the lip and doing a frontside lean air that's just mental, and I love to watch that kind of stuff. And, you know, Iago, we already know what he can do. He's taken down multiple world champions on a run through Brazil last year by doing big airs. So it's going to be fireworks throughout the rest of the day. And it looks to me like the wind's actually calmed down a bit and the conditions are cleaning up. And Mother Nature is blessing us once again with some good times.
So there's Zeke Lau getting a beat on the conditions, working out a game plan to overcome Pakadauskas. But I think the way those two guys have been free surfing around this event, that's going to be one not to miss. All these heats in the second round, in fact, look really solid. But here we go, 2 minutes to go. Juandaru, he has to make something of this ride. Belts that section, but goes down. So pushing hard, trying to break combination. He's not going to do it with that one.
Well, we saw the hubcaps fly off the car earlier, and then right there, the bolts came off, and two of the wheels on a 16-wheel truck flew off, and, well, what's going to happen? The truck's going to crash. Unfortunate for Juandaru. This thing's going to wind up. And I know I threw this thing in the fridge at about the 14-minute mark. Sorry, Juan, but kind of saw it happening.
He just hasn't looked himself. He's usually pretty solid, Juandaru. He doesn't look flustered against any big names, and Matt Wilkinson's kind of put himself at the top end of the ratings a couple of seasons in a row now, and even though his confidence has been down through these first few events, he's really put it together here in the second round, and he's up once again, working this one over. Looks like he's standing on the table, tail loading up for something big to finish. The wave doesn't really ramp up for him. Juandaru, meanwhile, out the back. And he's just having a bit of fun out there. Throws the little varial, doesn't quite ride out. 50 seconds to go, and it's going to be all over for the Frenchman. Taking yet another 25th from a championship tour event this season. That's going to really sting, and he's going to fall down the ladder.
Yeah. Well, Ronnie, that was fun.
A lot of fun, Strider. Great to kick off the day with you, my friend, and look forward to calling the last couple of heats of this round with you, and everyone can look forward to some big exchanges coming up. Matt Wilkinson victorious here in heat number 8 of round 2. Just around the corner, we are going to see a special show as Kanoa Igarashi and Jesse Mendez hit the lineup. We'll bring in Joe Tappel and Martin Potter to keep the conversation alive.
The Corona Bali Protected is brought to you by Jeep, the official vehicle of the Championship Tour. By Corona, the official beer of the World Surf League. And by Hurley, the official tour partner of the World Surf League. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning here at Keramas. Round 2 action continues quickly as we watch Jesse Mendez with a big backhand float into a huge carve. Inside corner providing Mendez throws it vertical. And running into the final section, hits it hard and starts this heat with a bang. Igarashi already to answer. First turn clean on the forehand attack. Nose pick, reverse in transition. Igarashi jams it shut. Mendez and Kanoa back-to-back starts here in round 2, heat number 9. Joe Turpel alongside former world champ Martin Potter. What a great way to kick off this heat, Potts.
Well, Joe, we've been waiting for this to unfold. The backside versus frontside attack, and I'll tell you what, fireworks are going to follow. Kanoa Igarashi and Jesse Mendez both out there this morning having a bit of a warm-up, and I'll tell you what, they both look really good. They both looked in form. Jesse going to the air on his backhand. Kanoa going to the air on his front side. Is that going to be the point of difference? Let's have a look and analyze this next maneuver here from Kanoa. You can see the footwork there as he slides his front foot way forward to get that nose into the face of the wave and then finishing strong. So a beautiful opening exchange from both those guys. And I love it. I love the attack mode that both these guys are showing. It's kind of been a slow start to the day. Went on hold for a bit. That first heat was a little bit of a mishmash there between Frederico Moraes and Ian Gouveia, and now we're starting to see that wind lie down just a little bit. Conditions getting better, and as the performances are as well.
What a great matchup here. Jesse Mendez, a part of the rookie class in 2018. Igarashi already starting in now his 3rd year on tour. Igarashi, hometown, Huntington Beach, representing Japan on the top 34. Jesse Mendez from Sao Paulo, Brazil. We spent a long time on the qualifying series waiting for this official debut. Got a couple of warm-ups last season as a wild card, but now full-time. Still looking for his breakthrough result this year. 5.0 start for Mendez. Now backing it up. Nice clean snap. Stretching this one out, winding up, tail-high punt towards the beach. Completely inverted. It is going to be an air show with these two guys fired up in round 2, heat number 9.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Joe. I love it. You know, we're going to see kind of a different sort of approach from Jesse's backhand attack. We're going to see more vertical snaps in that pocket, but then also that flyaway backhand reverse. I mean, let's have a look in and see what happens as he races down the line. And watch how he throws it away there. And what's going to happen is he almost lays down in the white water and then stands back up. And I saw him pull one of those off earlier. You can see him sort of pushing the board out towards the beach. Goes into almost a layback scenario and then manages to get back up on his feet. Just showing that core strength and complete control. So Jesse Mendez making it quite clear that innovation is going to be part of his attack here this morning.
We've been loving his warm-ups out here at Keramas, and what Mendez has been throwing down really all week long here in Bali. Had a crazy rotation this morning, waiting for the call to really get going. It could have been part of the reason why we saw heats get out there today officially. We had the Medina backflip. Mendez was right there with a big full rotation as well. Scores coming in now for Mendez on the last at 2.0 since he didn't complete it there. But he had a 5.0 start, so he's out in front. Igarashi laying down that nose pick reverse on the second turn. Got a 6.33. So Judge is really rewarding that progression down the line.
Yeah, they're rewarding the progression, but also the completion. Now, this is what I was talking about. See how he throws it away and literally lays back in the face of the wave and then kind of picks him up, doesn't it? And stands him back up on his feet. He almost kind of knew that was going to happen. So Jesse Mendez going to the air on his backhand. I love the attack mode that he's bringing. He's continuing that here in the heat. Put the singlet on and things haven't changed. I love it. You know, you see a lot of guys that do that in the free surf, but then don't quite do it in the heats. I want to see that in the heats as well. I want to see progression. Kanoa showed that, 6.33. So Jesse now knows what he's got to do.
Kanoa has priority. Both surfers shoulder to shoulder. Mendez will take a look here. A lot of foam on the face, has the speed. Quick reverse off the lip. Running towards the closeout section. Big belt off the top, but he can't hang on. You can see a tight little battle with these two on the takeoff spot. Even though we have a priority rotation, these guys aren't giving each other any room at the moment.
Yeah, they're both feisty, aren't they? Bit of a messy wave here with that whitewater on the face, but Jesse Mendez, a lot of pop right there. Didn't really have a lot of vertical face, so I'm not sure whether this is going to go high, especially because of that right there. You've got to finish the waves off, Joe. Can't afford to do all the hard work and then blow it at the end. I mean, the judges want to see that completion. They want to see that control. But Jesse Mendez in that attack mode, I love it. We want to see more of it, don't we?
Great to see these guys push the sport in such a positive way, especially with modernized surfing above the lip. Let's catch up now with Matt Wilkinson and Kaipo.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Wilco, you opened up that heat with a great score, 7-1-7. Does that give you confidence that you're going to have a heat win?
Yeah, I kind of had a heat plan, and it was to find those kind of double up meaty ones that had 2 or 3 sections rather than the short ones. So when I kind of found that first wave, I was like, yep, plan's working, so keep looking for them. And then I luckily under priority got that other one, and that one stood up really nice, kind of on the wide section as well. And yeah, it was a fun heat. It's good to finally have a heat where I catch a couple of waves. I feel like every heat this year I've had 4s and needed a 5, and it's just, I don't know, it's been tricky. So to have a heat where I finally feel like I do some turns and do some surfing feels good.
Halfway through that heat, Joan Deroux actually had a big priority error and you had a big lead. Is that when you knew that you had a heat win?
Yeah, I guess you never really know that things can change. In 2 minutes he could get 2.9. So it definitely, when he missed that wave, I was like, this is good. But yeah, I guess you never know until the hooter blows. But yeah, it was good to finally have things go my way with waves coming my way, and then he made some mistakes, and it felt good to kind of get a commanding lead in a heat and be back kind of dominating heats.
Well, congratulations on that, Matt Wilkinson. Wilco waltzing through to round number 3, Joe.
That's right, Kaipo, and in a very critical time of his season, as he knows, he needs some big results to really not just get back in the title race, but also for requalification for next year. The really positive sign of Wilco is he doesn't look devastated by those poor results he's had this year. He looks really calm and comfortable under pressure, and his surfing was really fun to watch in that last deep pots.
It was a Matty Wilco of old, you know, 28th in the rankings at the moment, so really does have a lot of work to do, Joe, but he knows that. I mean, he identifies that fact, and it's just going to be a different year as opposed to the last couple where he started with a bang. Remember last year he won at Fiji, so this is kind of where, you know, that middle part of the year where he's got to get going. He's got a lot of momentum moving forward. Surfed that heat absolutely perfect. Didn't really put a foot wrong, so he's got to take a lot of confidence moving forward. Round 3, you know, he's got to make it through a few more rounds to kind of build that momentum as well.
More waves on the way here. Priorities with Kanoa Igarashi, former U.S. Open champ. Mendez just kind of staying in his space, looking at every wave that's running through. Even that one they let go by looks really fun right now, Potts.
Joe, give me that on my little twin fin. I'll have a bit of fun on that. But, you know, these guys are looking for a specific wave. You heard Matty Wilco talk about he wanted those little double-up nuggets that really opened up and allowed him a bunch of turns. So these one-maneuver waves aren't going to cut it unless, of course, you've got that X factor, that really high-fire attack above the lip. That's going to garner big points, but you really do want those multiple opportunities to really score.
It's interesting also feeling the pressure for guys like Wilco that did have a 25th exit at Margaret River, where when the contest was thought to be maybe canceled at the time, the 25th really didn't sting that much. But now that it will be finished at Uluwatu, we're going to see now people get more points, 10,000 on the line for a win, and so we'll see the Jeep leaderboard really shuffle up after that event's complete.
Yeah, I mean, and how important is this then to get that momentum going into Uluwatu right after this? So, you know, you can really bang out a couple of good results here and really create some distance. If you're Julian Wilson, obviously, you know, create a bit of distance between yourself and the pack, or, you know, if you're struggling for a requalification situation, it's very, very vital that you get the ball rolling right here.
Igarashi in that same conversation at 25th in West Oz. So he really wants to make this one count. 25ths weren't something we were ever talking about with Kanoa in his rookie season on tour. What's changed after that rookie year in his performance, Ponce?
Pressure. The pressure to requalify, Joe. I mean, it is a different kind of pressure. Coming in as a rookie, you're not really, people aren't really expecting things from you. You kind of have a bit of time to work things out. I mean, he's a solid competitor. He surfed 1 million heats before he got on the big leagues. But, now it's that whole pressure of having to requalify. But the kid's got game, making the finals at the Pipe Masters. I mean, he's got to draw on that kind of experience. And he's still got a massive career ahead of him. I don't think he's matured just yet. And plenty more to come from Kanoa Igarashi, that's for sure.
Kanoa's starting his 3rd season, so he's had 2 years on the top 34, the championship tour, and both seasons he's been a double qualifier, meaning that he's earned his spot on the qualifying series, finishing in the top 10, and also above the 22 cutoff on the championship tour, and he's created more spots on the qualifying series. Nothing more dramatic than the year he opened up a spot for his good friend Ezekiel Lau at the Pipe Masters.
Yeah, that was a special moment, wasn't it? But you got to feel for the guy that got knocked out. You got to feel for the guy that was right there as well. And that's why I have kind of an issue with that double qualifying situation. Honestly believe if you're on the World Tour, that's where you compete. If you can't cut it, go back to the QS. And that's just my opinion, though.
But I love how surfing as a professional sport, it really has an open mind, and the commissioner's office loves suggestions. I don't know if any sport has changed more quickly than surfing has, just to make it better and better and improve the game. You even have a over-hassling rule that was just introduced before this event. Get back to that. 17 minutes on the clock here. Igarashi setting up his first turn, tail whip. There's that nose pick, similar kind of re-entry that he nailed on his opening ride, this time incomplete. Holding priority for quite a few minutes there, Potts, and now Mendes has control.
Yeah, you could say a missed opportunity, you could say a mistake, but when you go for that first large maneuver, things can happen. You really got to make sure you connect with that. Kanoa Igarashi probably looked down the line and thought, hey, look, there's not much more on offer, so why not go for it on that first turn? Good selling point on Jesse Mendes as well to make sure Kanoa Igarashi used his priority on that occasion.
And so now we'll see how Mendes handles that priority roll. 16:30 to go. Holds his position out the back. Igarashi needs a 1.84. As we know, he's representing Japan on tour, but he grew up surfing at the south side of Huntington Pier at a very young age. Had dreams of competing in the U.S. Open of surfing. That was the event that came to Kanoa's hometown, and he got to see all the big-name pros compete at the same wave that he got to surf every single day. So Kanoa had pressure on himself to win the U.S. Open one day. He had a few semifinal finishes in a row, and finally he was able to break free with his first win at Huntington Beach last season.
Yeah, what a way to do it too. I mean, home soil, that added pressure of having to succeed. And, well, he did exactly that. So Kanoa Igarashi had that sense of belief and that sense of belonging after that win. It's amazing what a win can do. It can take you a long way, confidence-wise.
And he just had the classic moment where all of his friends and family are trying to cheer him up the beach. His younger brother, Keanu, was so excited. He actually jumped in the water and passed him. And he was trying to catch back up to give his big brother a hug. It was a dramatic moment, a moment for Kanoa that he'll never forget. And a huge prize check when you win the U.S. Open, $100,000. And first thing he did was just took his family on a vacation because they've given so much to him. His parents were really happy with him just acknowledging that on the podium. And they just knew that he was one day going to break free as one of the best surfers in the world. Now into his 3rd season. So I know Kanoa's putting pressure on himself to win his first event this year.
Well, that's what you're here for, right? And that's what all these guys have got, that kind of pressure. Whether you're Jesse Mendes or whether you're Kanoa Igarashi. It's that same kind of pressure. I mean, how much have you sacrificed? You watch how hard Jesse Mendes worked to get himself on the World Tour, and finally when you realize that, it was almost that emotion just came flooding out in tears. And, you look at families that have sacrificed time and taking you to the beach and, supporting you financially. I mean, you don't really see the backstories to a lot of these guys' careers, and you think that, all of a sudden they just appear, but all that hard work to get there, I mean, a lot of guys don't make it.
A lot of work, and sometimes it comes down to your friends opening up a spot on tour for yourself. Next thing you know, you're sitting in the top 10. We're talking about Zeke Lau preparing for Pat Gadauskas coming up in the next tee. We'll be right back. Welcome back, straight into action here at Karamas with Jesse Mendez on the backhand. Perfect whip right off the lip. Fading cut back now. This thing could bowl up for Mendez. Little speed jam off the top, straight up vertical. And he'll sneak on out of there. Jesse Mendez, remember, opened with a 5.0. Was able to stay in Kanoa's space, earn priority back. And now making a move on the backhand attack, Potts. Here we go.
Yeah, I love that straight up turn. I mean, we saw Matty Wilco use that to great success in the last heat. I'm sure Jesse Mendez was taking notes and utilizing that very similar maneuver. So Mendez, again, that vertical snap on the backhand. That's a good little wave to get himself back in the heat, that's for sure. He was in that first spot, but the weak length, the backup of a 3.83. Let's see where that goes. Let's see if it betters it.
And just keeping that steady flow down the line with power turns. I was trying to think about separating these guys. The obvious one, Jesse, goofy foot, Kanoa, regular, facing the wave. What about, in your opinion, Potts? Can you split these guys first with airs in that category? First off, is there one that you see accomplish more in the heat of competition? Who lands more airs when it really matters the most?
Well, I think Kanoa. I mean, Jesse, obviously, amazing in the air. I mean, let's take nothing away from the guy, but I don't think he uses it as much. Let's have a look. Here goes Kanoa.
Kanoa now setting up the forehand. Beautiful bottom turn to wrap combination. Fades it again and big frontside snap. Here comes the finish. Tags it shut. Sticking to the face of the wave with some classic reads there. Needed a 2.6 for a lead change, as Mendez on his last just a 3.93. So expecting that lead change in just a moment. 11 on the clock now.
Yeah, exactly. Expect the lead change. I mean, watch how he fades down the bottom here, waits for it, and then gets that big vertical snap. We haven't seen a lot of that on the front side. And then finishing nicely. So we're seeing a lot of backhanders get that real vertical attack where Kanoa Igarashi finds it. I mean, comes off the bottom, beautiful hooking maneuver, and then fades right down to the bottom, draws out that bottom turn and gets that nice snap in the pocket. So that's kind of one of the first natural footers we've seen really get that vertical. You see a lot of backhanders do it. Kanoa finally, you know, uses that big fading low, deep bottom turn, get that big straight up snap. 2.60. I think that's definitely going to go into his top 2.
Well, the best surfers in the world always have a great place to put their boards and well, usually a locker room, but it's kind of like a paradise view on this deck to put your equipment and backup boards just in case you need it. Kaipo Guerrero has found himself there. Anything you like in on the board rack?
Yeah, let's take a look at the board rack, Joe. Here's the backup to the backup for Kanoa Igarashi. It's a 5'11", 18.5. We go down the road. This is Sage Erickson's board, Joan Defay's board, Ian Govea, Tomas Hermes with the Xanadu. Tyler Wright, of course, the ladies are still on standby. Her board's here, and Wilco. So looks like the boards today, mostly squash sails, high performance boards, couple round tails, but for the most part, just your high performance whip.
Thank you very much, Kaipo. What a great place to put your equipment. Kanoa's boards, Channel Island surfboards. He's been riding those for a very long time. Mendez, big whip off that first section on the roof. Also on the Channel Islands program. Fits in a little 2-for-1 to finish. If he can pull this one off, laying low, he does get the completion.
Wow. Well, I like it. Just a little bit of a different attack. So that's kind of what you got to do. Mix it up. Show the judges variety. You know, show them a different line, a different approach, and he did exactly that. Almost thought he was going to go to the air here. You can see how he kept that high line, and then that transition maneuver, hooking it back into the pocket. So good surfing here from Jesse Mendez. Almost losing it at the end there, but showing some strength to get back up on his feet. Looking to replace the 3.93. You can tell by how he was on that mid-face. I thought he was maybe going to go to the air, but decided against it. Probably a good move there, just trying to replace that 3.93 and then finishing strong. So critical stuff for Mendez. Look, what is he looking for? A 5.57.
That's right. The wave before for Kanoa, that 3-turn combo, sticking to the open face, a 4.23. That was enough to get the lead change. Mendez now turning in his solid backhand work. Needs a 5.57 to get the lead right back with 8:15 to go.
Are you feeling it? Kind of, huh?
It's kind of felt like it was enough,
right there.
especially getting the finish. If he would have fallen on the last turn, you're going, okay, he's going to need more work. But since he fought for it, it felt fair enough. And that first turn was really radical.
It was critical, wasn't it?
Enjoyed it. So it's right in that conversation of maybe getting the lead back. You remember those kind of under-the-lip floats Miguel Pupo was doing at Snapper that one year? That looked like a similar version of that.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, it is a critical maneuver. It is a critical turn. You know, floater maneuvers are generally a transition turn. Nice free fall drop, but what it did was it put him in a really good position for that next maneuver. And then finishing strong. So 3 solid turns for Mendes. No glitches, nice flow. We'll have to wait and see.
It's all about comparisons. They had that 4.23 recently from Kanoa, so they're going, okay, is it better than that? And how much better to possibly turn this heat? Remember, round 2 is our first elimination round. Mendes is the one that really needs a result when you compare it to Kanoa. Sitting behind requalification, especially when there's been a lot of rookies already enter that top 10 picture. Carmichael making finals. Bummer for Carmichael, already getting knocked out of this event. So that'll open up a little bit of room for Mendes to catch up in the Rookie of the Year race, because it's an honor you can only win once.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's been one of those crazy kind of years, hasn't it? Well, Joe, there it is.
5.73 for Mendes, back in the lead. Igarashi priority now needs a 4.4 to answer back. So a seesaw battle here in heat number 9 of the second round. With guys coming out of the gates on that opening exchange, we knew this was going to be an intense heat. Kanoa Igarashi, famous for his tactics, tough to get the inside off him. Mendes has a similar reputation. How do you like how Jesse's handling second priority in this heat?
Well, I like the fact that he's kind of ruffling the feathers of Igarashi. I mean, he's not really giving him too much room, even though Kanoa does have priority. You can see how he's putting himself right there, making Kanoa literally think about every wave that comes through. Why? Because Jesse's kind of showing interest in that. And that's what you got to do. It's that game plan that, you know, it's that attack mode. It's that, you know, attack, not defense. And, you know, Kanoa's kind of got to keep his cool, and he knows he only needs a 4.40, 6.33 on his opening wave. So he knows exactly what he's got to do to get that score. But you see Mendes now on the inside of him. So kind of in his headspace, in his peripheral vision. And, you know, sometimes that can ruffle your feathers just a little bit and kind of maybe throw you off your game plan. So it's part of the rules, part of the game. It's I like it.
Kanoa Igarashi's dealt with a couple of 25ths already this season, going down to not just Margaret River, but also Bells Beach. He's had a couple of equal 9ths. That's losing in the new version of round 4, where third place is eliminated. Both of those heats he's had this year, one in Snapper and also one in Rio. He's had to deal with world #1 Julian Wilson. So that's been hard when you're that close to at least a quarterfinal result. We even saw the points change this year on tour on the Jeep leaderboard on how they're distributed. Really top heavy with a win. Even second place is less as well. So if you're not making the quarters these days, it's really going to sting.
It is. But I like it though, you know, risk versus reward. You got to go for it. You know, that's it just, you know, the judges or the system saying you've got to surf radical. You know, you've got to put it on the line, and if you do, you're going to get rewarded. You're going to get the results. So gone are the days of safety surfing ahead, and you know, you really need to crank it up.
Rosie Hodge is in the water right now, and Rosie, Jesse and Kanoa are not sitting still at the moment. What's going on out there?
That's right. Just interesting watching the posturing throughout this heat. You know, we've got those middle of the range scores, but for me, just tactically seeing how these guys are playing positioning, playing priority, that's been so key throughout this exchange, and just watching them kind of seesaw battle. Right now, Kanoa with that priority, Jesse paddled straight back to him, kind of applied that pressure as he got the score, heard him let out a little hoot when he heard that, you know, he had gone into the lead. So I think Kanoa is going to start feeling that pressure. We'll see if he can capitalize and see if he keeps his cool on his next wave.
Thank you, Rosie, and good insight too. You know exactly what's happening in the water. We always wonder if they're talking or making noise, and that's exactly what's happening now. Mendes will scratch into this one under Kanoa's priority. First turn, a solid power gouge. Jams it again off the lip. Nice vertical snap through the whitewater section, and one more hammer on the inside corner. Once he gets that backhand in motion, it's insane to watch. Tatiana Weston Webb loving that approach, and we'll see how that's going to factor in. Low score at the moment, Potts, of 5.0.
Yeah, you know what? I think just the size of the wave is going to hurt that score.
Igarashi needing the answer. Big windup off the bottom. Tries to force the punt on the first section. And that wave's going to roll through. He's down to 3 minutes on the clock. Before Jesse took that wave, he already needed at least a 4.4. And we'll find out if that's going to grow in a moment here.
I like the way he attacked the wave. I mean, it was you know, a smaller wave, as you can tell. But the maneuvers, perfect. Bang, beautiful snap, throwing a lot of spray out the back. And again, just the combination of major maneuvers. Nice vertical, so giving a little bit of a different tilt. And then bang, finish. So 4 solid turns. I'm seeing that 5 gone, even though the size of the wave maybe is going to hurt the score a little bit. Kanoa going to the air, just mistiming that. Maybe needed the grab just for a split second. He'll maintain priority, though. I think that 4.40 required by Kanoa is going to be a little bit more. You can see that Jesse Mendez starting to feel it.
It'll be a big one for Jesse here, Potts. He needs to get through this round. He needs to move closer to at least that cutoff mark on the Jeep leaderboard. And what a battler that he is in the jersey. Remember last year, one of his crucial results on road to qualifying was in Manly Beach in Sydney when he had a final with Julian Wilson, went blow for blow. One of the most exciting finals I've ever seen on the qualifying series. So we know when he's in rhythm and in form and his confidence is sky high, he's capable of a lot of big things. Speaking of big things, that number on his last, a 6.60. Mendez does increase the lead. Igarashi now needs a 6.01 to answer with 90 seconds to go.
Well, there we go. Here we go.
Igarashi chooses this wave. First turn, blowtail, another fall on the opening section for Igarashi, and that could cost him the heat. He's already had a couple of 25ths. You only have 2 throwaway results out of 11 on tour. So that means he'd be counting a second round result this season on the Jeep leaderboard if he can't find something in 55 seconds.
Just a mistake. I think this wave didn't really warrant one of those kind of maneuvers you did on wave number 1. I mean, maybe just a nice big hook. But you can see how that wave kind of went a little flat on the reef, didn't have that vertical face, and Kanoa Igarashi knew that. He knew he kind of made a mistake taking that wave, but kind of had to. Now we see Jesse Mendez sticking to Kanoa Igarashi like glue. This is the defense. This is what you need. You got to get the lead plus priority and just shut it down. And Mendez is a smart character when it comes to that, Joe.
Jesse now sticking to him, doing a great job. You probably could feel in his head that he's close to getting into round 3. Kanoa digging in for this little insider, but he can't catch up. 12 seconds to go. Mendez taking every moment of this heat very seriously. Out the back, you see Pakadauskas preparing, but already celebrating is the Mendez camp. Cardoso on the whistle, a fellow rookie on tour. Celebrating another upset, rankings-wise, experience-wise on the top 34, and Kanoa is going to be very disappointed with this result.
Yeah, especially with the start that he had, Joe. You know, he kind of just let that slip through his fingers, really. Unfortunate for him, but you got to reward the fight in Jesse Mendez to come back and steal that win.
More exciting heats to come here in the second round of competition. Up next, Ezekiel Lau takes on Pat Gadauskas. We'll be right back.